My very special guest is Rosemarie D'Alessandro, and I hope that maybe John D'Alessandro will join us also. And in tribute to beautiful Joan Angela D'Alessandro and the Joan's Joy Foundation, tonight's going to be a very interesting show. As you've heard before, if you've listened to the show, and if you've listened to Rosemarie come on the show, she talks about her beautiful daughter Joan, who went to see the Lord at a very young age, 7 years old. Joan was a beautiful little girl, and if you've never heard this before, if you've never heard us talk about Joan D'Alessandro, which I hope you have, she was a proud little brownie, and she was delivering Girl Scout cookies and to a neighbor who lived across the street. Who would think that? I mean, this is almost 50 years ago. 3 houses down from Joan's house. In those days, everybody went outside. You rode your bikes. You went around the block. Nobody really worried about what happened to poor little Joan. The neighbor was a Tappan Zee High School chemistry teacher, and I don't want to mention his name. And Joan and Rosemarie just refers to him as the killer. He sexually molested and murdered Joan on April 19th, 1973, Holy Thursday, and Joan's body was found 3 days later on Easter Sunday in a sepulchre-like space in a large rock, just in between a large rock, at Harriman State Park in New York, and right over the border. And here you have this killer. He was a teacher, science teacher. Can you imagine him being with children? But anyway, so tonight it's going to be a very, very interesting show. Rosemary's going to talk to us about some letters that were delivered to her, and Rosemarie will tell us that the killer, while he was in jail, and he never got out because Rosemarie fought and fought and fought the parole board, and the parole board helped. Andy, of course, helped, which was a friend of Rosemarie. He wasn't a friend at the time, but he was the director of the parole board to keep him in because he was up for parole in 12 years. But every time he came up for parole, he was vetoed. He was vetoed. He was vetoed until he finally passed away in jail, and that was a good thing. So Rosemarie's going to talk to us this evening about 250 letters from Joan's killer to a pen pal. Can you imagine somebody being a pen pal with the likes of something so disgusting as him? How Rosemarie came, Rosemary I should say, not Joe, how Rosemarie came across them, and how Rosemarie had to keep them secret to help the parole board. And when he died last year, they started bringing them out, and the importance of the letter, and Rosemary's going to put them into a book. It's going to be a self-published book, and going through them, John D'Alessandro is reading them as Rosemarie is writing this. They are startling in the ordinary way he talks and never talks about, I would imagine, about killing Joan, murdering Joan. No guilt, no sorrow. So we're going to talk about this tonight. Very, very interesting. And these are going to be 250 letters that are going to be published. And I think they can help a lot of parents. They can help people realize the mindset of a killer and the what's the words I'm looking for? The no guilt, no sorrow, no remorse for anything. That is the mind of these killers. And and when I spoke with Rosemarie said he probably was a serial killer. They did find another little girl in that same area, but they, for some reason, I don't know how he got away with it. But anyway, before we go to a break, let's bring Rosemarie D'Alessandro on, and we have 5 minutes. Hello, Rosemarie. How are you this evening?
Oh, hi, honey. Okay. With so many things you're telling me, just telling everybody, there's so much in this story, and it never stops.
Well, I'm glad that you sent me all these points.
And I'm so glad to be here, to speak about it. And, I hope there, enough people listening, because, Lori, you do a show that's very important and very good.
Thank you. Rosemarie, what you do is very important and very good. You have passed so many legislations to protect children and help parents of children. Unfortunately and horribly, you had to go through all of this, but you turned all of your sorrow into positive energy for parents and their children.
Well, you hear about people like me that, have tragedy, and then what they do is go through the trauma of it, and they triumph with it. They have a triumph in it. Like, they just, have a victory.
Yes.
And some people, like with me, I got a lot of my strength through my faith, through Joan, and through the 2 days she died on Holy Thursday, and she was found on Easter. So that was a message
Yes.
that was just right there, very bright to me, very big. And I knew that someday there would be something that would happen that shows sign of hope. And then I didn't know that I would be starting a movement, but when I started it, in 93, that's when everything started. It's like all my advocacy work. And that's when I was seeing the victory. But you know what? I have to tell you, I was given these letters in 2008 at one of our yard sales. And we had tremendous, tremendous yard sales. They were huge. They were all there must have been about 30 tables.
Wow. You do
the
beautiful. You do beautiful, Rosemarie. You are unbelievable. You're like a stylist. You do beautiful, beautiful work. And even this event that you had, that you invited me to, and what an honor. Excuse me. That I was to. It was September, correct?
That was a child safety fest.
Yes, the child
And
safety.
that's where you were the MC.
Yes, that was an absolutely.
That was our greatest MC.
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
No. Oh my gosh.
I didn't have to even. I just could sit back and go, look at that.
No.
Awesome.
Rosemarie, it was beautiful.
With our big, we had this yard sale, and at that time, 2008, we were fighting to keep the killer in prison.
Yes.
So maybe about 400 people came, and we had about 250 signatures, and this was at my house.
Yes.
And my house is our property is 75 by 100.
Mm-hmm.
It's in Hillsdale, New Jersey,
Yes.
Bergen County. We have a bi-level house, so it's not super big property, but it's property.
Yes, absolutely.
And so we have every inch coming, and there's all these people are coming. So this man comes, and he says, I have a lot of, I think they were slippers, something for your feet, some kind of footwear in the car. And I have boxes of a lot of things, and 20 of this, 30 of that. He said, my mother was a hoarder, and she died, and I'm just bringing these things over. And he was coming from Pennsylvania.
Right.
And then he says, but I have something else for you. So he said, I have letters.
Rosemarie, would you hold on to that thought, because I don't want to interrupt this line of thought with our commercial. Hold on. That's how we got to the letters. You had so this was a gentleman. He came to the house. Not only did he have slippers or socks or something for the feet, but he had some major messages for you, and it's a very interesting story. So please, Rosemarie, please, what an honor to have you always, my dear, and please stay with us. We'll be back. Hang in with us.
We have Miss Rosemarie D'Alessandro.
Yes, we do. Thank you. And that's a good Italian name, Rosemarie D'Alessandro, and she's full of LOVE for children, children's rights, and parents of children that have been abducted and have gone through very, very tough times, and keeping your children safe. Welcome back, Rosemarie D'Alessandro. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and what an honor and a pleasure always to have you.
Well, hi, everybody. And, there's a lot, to tell you. But I'm going to try just to give you some feel of what I've been feeling now with my son. Now 12 days we've been reading letters. And let's he reads them, and I make notes.
Let's go back and
I say that.
Let's introduce.
I want to go back to 2008.
Yes, and let's introduce how these letters came to you and what these letters
now
are.
In
So
2008,
go ahead.
I was telling you, right? I was there, my backyard on the patio, and you have all these people around. You have lots and lots of tables with many, many items on it to sell, because it was like a garage sale. Right?
Yes.
And you have a big, big, big tent. So just imagine this. And you have a tent covering the whole lawn in the back.
Wow.
And with a high, it had in order for them to keep it up, it had to have a very high top that came to a point, must have been a few feet high. So I'm there. He comes, and I'm not going to say his name. And I'm just going to say, the person that brought me the letters. And he starts telling me about letters. And I'm there, all these people, and all of a sudden I hear he has letters that the killer wrote to his mom.
So they were
Mom had died. She had died.
They were pen pals then before she died.
Yes.
Oh.
They were pen pals. They were pen pals. Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And they became friends.
Oh.
So they became friends. Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was friends with the devil.
Not girlfriend type that
Right.
kind, because she did have a husband, but you never know.
I know, we've heard.
I can't even assume that. I can't even assume the other part.
No, we've heard.
So anyway, what happened was that she died. He's cleaning up. He finds these letters. He had no idea that his mother was writing these letters. They were going back and forth. And he said some of them got wet. He threw them away. But he was able to salvage 250 of them.
Wow.
So he knew that we're trying to keep the killer in prison. And each time that you work, because Joan's killer was always going to be eligible for parole, the laws that we got through did not apply to him. It was not retroactive. So therefore, it wasn't going to help us. But that I knew when I started going for the law.
Right.
So what happened was, this is all going on, and I'm over there. Part of me is listening. Part of me is getting like overwhelmed.
Yes.
Part of me is saying, what is this about? What is this about? So I'm just listening, and he's saying to me, I can't believe this, that my mother was doing this.
He didn't, nobody knew.
Nobody knew. And then what I did give them to parole board. I could not speak about them because we could have appeals in our case.
He gave you the letters, Rosemarie, handed you the letters.
Gave me the letters.
And then they were in your possession.
They were in my possession.
Okay. And then you...
I had the original letters, written by a killer, 250 of them. Now, just think of that.
Your daughter's killer. Your daughter's killer on top of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of anyone having letters from a killer like this?
No.
I have never.
No. She was friends with the devil. She sold her soul to the devil. Never. Okay.
So, but before I go into another part, last week I found out, and this had happened a few years before that the person that gave me these letters from Pennsylvania, guess what? He was a pedophile. He was a pedophile.
Her son was a pedophile. Oh my God.
He had at the end, what he did, the police came to his house, and they just surrounded his house, and he killed himself. And he's a pedophile. So when he came here to give me these letters, something was going on at that time.
Oh my.
And then he's telling me, I'm giving you these letters so this way this could help to keep him in.
And
keep him in prison.
And here he is, he's one himself.
And I don't know, I don't know what his intentions were when he gave them to me. I hope that there was some good consciousness in
yes.
Yes. But I don't know. You don't know.
That's a very scary. That is a very interesting.
I couldn't believe it.
That's
I found out about a week and a half ago.
My.
Yeah, a week and a half ago.
That's shocking. That's shocking, Rosemarie. So you went on and you gave.
So then what I did.
And let's tell us. Are you able to tell us a little bit about what the letters contained? What a killer like him was writing to another person? What was he saying? I know he referred to you as RD, correct?
No, RD I haven't come up to yet because we started reading them. I started reading them. Joan is helping me with them, reading them too, and Joan will have a comment and read one of the letters. But I have to tell you it's like we have read now about 60 letters out of the 250, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not into RD yet.
Okay.
RD is the way referred to me. I'm not referred to yet.
Mm-hmm.
In all these letters, everyone, Joan is not even, she's not even like a piece of nothing. She's not even a pebble. She's nothing. Nothing is ever mentioned. There's nothing about like even a just something, even a tingling of sorrow, remorse,
Yes.
any of that.
Yes.
But what
Guilt
they're
or sorrow.
about
Mm-hmm.
is very ordinary. They're very, very ordinary, and they're so ordinary that, like, all of us have met people that just talk about. They'll talk about like their college degree. They'll talk about being tired. They'll talk about, oh, I'm hot today.
Mm-hmm.
This is what he was talking about.
Really?
And you know, it's like scary in a way that how a human being, and there are other human beings too, that can act so nice and be so dark.
Well, that's what
the
they are.
darkest you can ever get.
That's what they
Okay.
are. And Rosemary, you did make a mention, and I don't know if this came up yet. Every letter almost had something in it that when he was going to get out, when I'm getting out. So he was
He
looking.
doesn't say it that way.
He doesn't.
He'll just say he has hope in there, because he'll say, well, you know, this is what I'm doing now. I haven't heard anything. So therefore, you know, I'm reading books. I'm helping someone to, I'm educating them. I'm teaching them reading and writing. I am, with some of my roommates, we play cards. I'm doing all this as I'm waiting.
As I'm waiting. Mm-hmm.
Because, you see, the lawyer that I have, he gives me different information, and now after I took some tests in Menlo Park, I'll get some results. And the lawyer said there was one thing that was good in it, and what was good in it. Remember, he's telling the pen pal this.
Yes.
He says, you know, well, it says that this was a one-time thing in my life. What he did to Joan.
I don't believe that.
And that's what it says. And that's okay. So that gives me a little bit latitude, because I only did it one time.
Oh my.
Okay? Yeah, that's what he talks about. So therefore,
Okay.
his mind is always, you know, okay, you know, I'm in jail now, because he was in jail in Hackensack. He wasn't at the prison yet in Trenton or the other prisons.
Right.
And he says, well, I'm waiting to go there, and then, you know, I'm waiting for the sentencing, and now the sentencing was stopped again. So thank God you are writing to me. That has given me comfort. I look forward to that letter. It really makes me be strong. Oh, all this is going on.
And she feeds right into this and gives him support. I mean, she had to be a little bit out there too. I mean,
well,
I'm sorry.
What happened was, he said, no, I'm paraphrasing. He said, well, you know, I'm thinking that, no, he said, I thought you might have been on the inside sometime. Inside means in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Because why would you be writing these letters like this?
Okay.
So he was that perceptive.
See that?
That he could understand that.
Isn't that amazing?
Because she was in prison, like, for short term.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, on the inside. When you say on the inside, that means that you were in prison.
Okay. So she was in prison for a period of time.
Yes.
Oh, so she was, okay. And she had this son, and the son grew up to be a pedophile.
No,
Wow.
But she had 2 sons.
Okay.
She had 2 sons. She had a husband.
Mm-hmm.
We found that out just today in one of the letters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, what's so important about these letters, too, and I'll go into more of the letters, is that these letters are I'm going to be self-publishing, and I'm looking
Yes.
now. I'm looking to self-publish.
Tell us about the book. Tell us about the book is going to be these letters. I think this is going to be a really very interesting book.
Well, this book is going to have a prologue, and I'm going to write that prologue, and then after that, you can't fit 250 letters in a book.
Right. That to be.
So now I'm putting like on each letter that I write, I'll put like green. That's a very important letter. Orange is maybe, and I have a deep blue, and that is no. So when we go through all the letters, I'll know which ones are the main ones. But still, I believe. So what I will put is, but if you want to see all the letters, you could have the appendix, something like that.
Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, with these letters, why I think they're so important is, well, like I said first, I don't think they're letters from a killer, 250 from a killer, showing how he thinks.
Exactly.
Showing how he sees things. It's so disturbing that it's so ordinary, everyone, that it's so ordinary that the way, I mean, if you would talk to him, you would think that he was the nicest person. And that's just the way he does.
And that's how many of them are. Many of these.
And he doesn't even act fake. He doesn't even act phony.
And,
like, oh my God.
And there was never 1 ounce of guilt or remorse or sorrow because he doesn't mention her at all. Okay, he doesn't mention Joan.
It's all about just. I'll go into that more, but anyway, what happened was, so why I think it's so important. It could be a great resource for investigators, for police people, for the FBI, for anyone that wants to know about the mind of a killer to help, figure out a case.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, for prevention.
Prevention.
Because maybe they'll see that, and then they won't give so many chances, and they'll say, no, this person, we have to look into him more. Okay? So this is very, very, it's almost like a gift. It's almost like a gift to get this.
And even the public, Rosemary, can read this, and they can look at the inside of this killer's mind and see if there are people around their children that maybe act like this. And that would tell them, well, listen, obviously this man may have some issues.
You know what it does for me, Rita?
What does it do?
Just the ordinary person, and now, we're talking with all the ordinary people, that it makes me understand a lot about the human person. And in the human person, how sometimes we see people and we think a certain way, and we think, oh, everything is fine.
Right.
And we'll get an instinct and we'll let it go. And we'll get something that says, be a little bit weary, just that. And we still let it go. We let it go. And you know what? That's not a good thing to do. You have to be it makes me more conscious of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, how many times I've done that? I mean,
we've all done that. We've all done that.
The thing is to be aware of that it's not all on the surface. You have to look. You have to go by your sense of the whole picture of the person.
Absolutely.
And you have to. That's very important to help our children with, and also to help us as adults that we don't get hurt either.
Absolutely. And you've told us before, it's not always who you think. It may be who you don't think. It could be friends. It could be family members. It could be a lot of others. It doesn't necessarily have to be a stranger. And that stayed with me, and because it's so true, Rosemary. So true. Now, does John?
I have some letters here.
Okay. Does John want to read one? If we have a few minutes. We have maybe
Only a few minutes?
about 6 minutes. Yes.
Okay.
So does John want to read one, or do you want to read part of one, Rosemary?
John, you want to read one, but I want to talk about a few things.
Go ahead.
This is what I want to talk about. The first one that I read doesn't mean that it's the first one, but the first one we had. Remember, this was this is it, 5/22/73. Joan was killed. She was slaughtered on April 19th. Oh. So 1 month later, he's saying that she's writing to him And he's saying, I don't know how you have the time to write to me, because she had little children.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so great that you're doing that, because it means so much to me. And he said, you know what? And I really appreciate your prayers. Oh my gosh, you hear that so much. Oh, thank you for the prayers. And then he would always say, at the end, every letter, God bless.
Oh.
And I went, oh my God. That was the first one. And I says, look at that. He's talking to her like he never did anything to Joan. Doesn't even talking to her like we talk to someone.
Right.
Oh, gee, Tina, that must have been, you have the children. Look what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You brought me the cake. Oh, that's so great. Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well,
So-
he's I mean, being the narcissist that he was, this is what he thought. I mean, not only, I mean, like you said, he slaughtered a 7-year-old baby, slaughtered her, what she had to go through, and he has the nerve to take the name of
yes.
God. No.
Yes, and then he said, God bless.
Oh.
Every single letter at the end, God bless.
Well,
And your prayers mean so much. Oh, keep on the prayers. Oh, I love your Mass card. She sent him Mass cards. Oh, the priests are coming to visit me. Oh, aren't they nice? And so that's, and it was one of the priests at one of the churches
yes.
that spoke about the killer.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started writing to him. Now, there's another one. Oh, my gosh. Wait till you hear this one.
Okay. We have
That one,
We have
he
about
was-
3 minutes, Rosemary, so
Okay,
I want to get
this is
this in.
important.
Go ahead.
This is important.
Go ahead.
He said, he was about 220 pounds, okay, when he killed Joan. He was also about 6'4". He's 6'4", which we found out. And he said, I lost 25 pounds. My waist has gone down to a 34. Now I wanted to go down to a 30. So my goal is to lose more weight.
Mm-hmm.
Then he says, there's a mouse here in my place, that's like my friend, and I watch everything it does. And then he says, he said, when I was on the outside, he says, sometimes I just wanted to run away from life.
Uh-huh.
He says, over here, he said, you can't run away from life. But at least I know what I'm doing. At least I know what's happening.
He should have ran off a cliff. He should have ran off a cliff and had been
So now I think
run
maybe
over
John
by a
might
truck.
Maybe John could just say something for a minute.
Yes, sure. We've
John,
got.
you there?
Hello?
Hi, John. We have about 2 minutes, John. Hi. How are you?
Hi.
How are
I
you?
just wanted,
Go ahead.
to jump in. My mother is going through these letters, and I think it's, going to be really worthwhile for people to really understand about this evilness and then what Mom had to fight to keep the killer in jail and what she was up against all these years.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you are, God bless the both of you, and I can say that without any...
But even Michael, too.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael, yes, absolutely. And the three of you have done such wonderful things for children. And John and Rosemarie, the book will be coming out in 2023 for the 50th anniversary of Joan's
Well,
death.
the goal is to do that. Like Michael says, well, that's a big undertaking, Ma.
You will. We'll all help you. We're all going to help you, Rosemarie. And I'd like to continue this show. I'd like to continue this, and I'd like to hear more of the letters. And Rosemarie and John, all I can say is that you're two angels in our universe. You've helped so many parents, so many children, and you continue to do so, and we love you for that.
Yeah, well, Joan has wonderful brothers.
Joan is watching over us.
Michael and John, yep.
Joan is watching. She's an angel, and she's watching. And she's here tonight at the other microphone, Rosemarie, like I always say. And
Well, she's the one that's making me be strong tonight.
absolutely,
To talk about this.
absolutely,
Yeah. But she
Rosemary.
wants me to do it.
Rosemary and John, thank you so much. We're heading out, and we'll talk very soon. God bless you both. We love
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
From
Good night.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. For abortion providers,